Job hunting when you're still employed is a common practice, and while it has many advantages, you're still getting a salary and paying your bills while looking for a better job, it also comes with challenges. There's nothing unethical about searching for a new opportunity while still employed. However, it's essential to approach this situation with respect, discretion, and professionalism for both your current and your potential future employers. This is the key topic for today's podcast. So let's get started. We have lots to talk about. Hi, I'm Renata Bernardi, and this is the Job Hunting Podcast, where I interview experts and professionals and discuss issues that are important for job hunters and those who are working to advance their careers. So make sure that you subscribe and follow, and let's dive right in. Okay, so there's a theme forming here from this episode and the previous two episodes. One was about job hunting while sad, the other one was about job hunting while sick, and now job hunting while employed. I guess what I'm trying to say here is there's always something happening alongside you looking for work, and that's called life, right? So time doesn't stop for you to find another job, change sectors, consider a different career path, a different career altogether. You have to do things when it just is the right time, and the right time maybe is right now for you if you're listening to this episode. And before we talk about job hunting, I have this thing now where I sort of talk about whatever is top of mind for me. Otherwise, I never get to tell you what's really in my mind as I'm recording this episode, as I plan the key topics in advance. But I wanted to share with you some crazy thoughts. So bear with me as I sort of gather them. I don't have a lot of notes for them, but I had these thoughts while I was watching my Deadpool and Wolverine marathon. Now, if you're a newsletter subscriber, you know that I've watched quite a lot of movies in preparation to watch the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. If you're listening to this in a different year, this is 2024. We're now in August, and I'm trying to get my family together. I have two sons, they have partners, plus my husband to go with me to the movies to watch the new Deadpool and Wolverine. I am a big comic fan. I love comics when I was growing up. Both my kids love it. I made them love it, I think. And I've been watching a lot of those movies now in preparation for the new one. So what I wanted to talk to you about is, well, first of all, tangent here, go subscribe to my newsletter if you're listening to this. Why not? It's fun. And then follow me on Instagram, because in the stories I share what I'm doing day to day, and you would have seen me watching those movies and what I think about them. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the superpowers some of those friends of Deadpool and Wolverine have, that all of us can have. And I was just sort of, this is a strange superpower. It's not like turning invisible or having, super strength or anything like that. One of the powers that I saw in one of the Deadpool movies, I think it was Deadpool 2, was a girl who was lucky. Now, forgive me for not knowing people's names, and I'm not that sort of a nerd. Nothing against those nerds. I'm just not, I can't remember the names, but there was one who was very lucky. And then in Wolverine, there was one that was very persuasive. Now, luck and persuasion, you can have those superpowers if you want to, right? We know that people who believe that they are lucky, they tend to do better in life. Research has shown us this. And this is not because they are woo-woo, because of some magical influence, because they are friends of Deadpool and have superpowers. It's not that. It's because of the psychological and behavioral factors that affect people that believe that they are lucky. If you consider yourself lucky, you're more likely to have a more positive outlook in life. That leads you to lots of interesting beneficial behaviors for you. You have more resiliency to overcome difficult times. It goes hand in hand with optimism. So you tend to be more optimistic about things that happen to you and how to overcome things that are not so good that happen to you. You know you're going to bounce back, and you tend to bounce back more effectively. I say to my clients all the time when they book consultations with me and they're so overcome with grief from losing their jobs or anxiety for not knowing when they're going to have a job again. And I tell them, chances are you're going to get a job again. Like it's not just luck, it's just how life is. You may be struggling now trying to find a job, but you will find a job. Okay? And people just forget that because they are so caught up in the moment of not having a moment, not having a job. They forget that they have all the chances. That's statistics, that's social economics, that's the country that you're in. Chances are you're going to get a job. And then if you're also lucky in the way that you see life, you are more open to opportunities. People who see themselves as lucky are generally more open to new experiences. They might be more willing to take risks. They want to try new things. They are more confident because they believe in their luck, and that enhances their self-confidence. This confidence can make a person more likely to pursue their goals. Then you have, more positive social interactions because optimistic, lucky individuals tend to have better social relationships. And then there's the placebo effect, right? So if you believe in luck and that you are lucky and that is acting to support your life and your career, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are unconsciously behaving in a way that leads to better outcomes and reinforcing that belief and creating a cycle of positive results for you. So, overall, luck in itself may not be like a tangible force, but the mindset that is associated with believing that you're lucky has a positive effect on your life. And you can activate that. All you need to do is say every time something happens to you, oh wow, wasn't I lucky that I got that car spot, that parking spot in the shopping center. Oh, look, we struggled a couple of times to get a dinner reservation, but look how lucky we were. We found one, and it's Friday afternoon and we have a reservation for this great restaurant. Aren't we lucky? And then if something happens to you that's bad, I have a friend, she just texted me to say, oh, I've I'm away, I'm overseas, she's a care for her parent. And I said, well, you know what? I'm so sorry. That's very bad, but aren't you lucky you're not in Melbourne during winter? So, there's always that silver lining. You have to find that and focus on that. And then you start to grow that lucky muscle in you, that mindset that will believe yourself lucky. That can be really beneficial. And then we spoke also about persuasion. Now, because I do strengths assessment and I use Talent Predicts, you can go to my website and do a strengths assessment with me. It's so beneficial to your career to know what your strengths are. I know that a lot of people do not have persuasion as their top strength. And if anything, persuasions tend to be a very sort of short little line in their strengths will. If you have done a strengths assessment, you know what a strengths will looks like. And you can grow that if you want to. You can be more persuasive because we know that people that have those persuasive skills, they also do better in life. Right? So that is a superpower like luck that can really be beneficial for you. And unlike, superpowers from comic books, these ones, you can grow them yourself. You can develop them. It's like going to the gym. Persuasion is such an important skill if you are ambitious for your career, if you want to take leadership positions in the future or right now. The ability to inspire and convince people to tell great stories. We have episodes on this podcast about how to tell great stories. I work with my clients a lot on persuasion. I just finished a coaching session with a client, and we were talking about how she can be more persuasive at work to overcome some of the challenges she's facing as she starts her new job. You get better at negotiating deals not only for yourself but your clients as well, building relationships, selling services and products, maintaining good relationships with stakeholders. It's really beneficial for career advancement if you focus on becoming more persuasive. And but people sometimes have a negative, unlike luck, which people make fun of. Persuasion, people are cynical about because it sounds like you want to be a car salesperson. And I don't want you to think about persuasion like that. It's a very beneficial way to communicate and to express yourself that really showcases you as being competent and ready for leadership roles. So, those two superpowers from the Deadpool and Wolverine movies are superpowers that you can develop. Maybe you already have them. They are talents that are just there waiting to be developed, waiting to be cared for, nurtured, and become your superpower. So think about those and let me know how you go. Let me know if you think that this is a crazy idea or if it's something you can work on. All right, so let's go back to the key topic of today, which is the nuance of job hunting while you're still employed. And it's so common, it's such an often scenario, but people find it really challenging. I also want to discuss at the end of this episode the reason why I think in 2024 not many people are doing it. Usually there are factors that are external, that are economic, social, and political, that influence professionals' willingness to look for work. And right now, there are not many professionals looking for work, which I think gives professionals that are looking for work while still employed a really interesting competitive edge. So I think you should be doing it. If you're sort of not taking any risks and waiting until things get better. When things get better, there are more professionals out there looking for work together with you. So let's look into this because I think it's such an important topic. The first thing I think you need to manage as you go through job hunting while still employed is to be very discreet and update your LinkedIn profile gradually. Now, this is my first point because I once had a client. I have had many clients that have gone through this, but the example that comes to mind is a client that did not realize that she had the green banner on her profile photo. And this is an easy mistake to make. You just tick a box, you tap on a button accidentally, and all of a sudden the green banner is there. Everybody knows you're looking for work. Her manager brought it up with her, and that's when she realized that her entire office knew she was looking for work because the green banner was on, and everybody looks at LinkedIn these days. So if you suddenly overhaul your LinkedIn profile on a weekend, it might send signals to your coworkers or your boss. So make gradual daily changes. Start incrementally being more and more active on LinkedIn instead of all of a sudden arousing suspicion. You also should be an expert on LinkedIn settings, the privacy, the blocks. There's a lot that you can do to protect yourself. And of course, I have a LinkedIn audit where I work more bespokely with you on working exactly on what you should do for your um, area of expertise, your sector, your country, what you want to achieve in your career. And I give lots of tips and examples and recommendations for updates on your LinkedIn top to bottom, plus also a LinkedIn activity. But I think it's important for you to be more careful with that so that you don't raise suspicion. So that's the first thing. Then I would recommend not advertising that you're job hunting on social media, or even not telling anybody in your current workplace. Now, telling people in your current workplace that you're looking for work is a big no-no for me. Remember, I'm a career coach. everybody is different. When I work with clients, I can be more bespoke and more tailored. But as an overarching blanket rule for everybody, I say no. If in doubt, don't tell anybody in your current workplace that you're looking for work. It's very rare that you have such a trusting relationship with your manager that it will not impact in any way, shape, or form your current trajectory internally in the company if you do say that you're looking for work externally as well. I say this not only as somebody who has been in your position looking for work, but also as somebody who has been in a managerial position and have had to make tough decisions. When my employees told me that they were ready for something else, I knew I couldn't do anything about it in the short term because of budget constraints, because of career progression policies in the company I was working for. And then if I had to take somebody with me to a conference, or if I had to give somebody some opportunities, I would give somebody else that I knew was a stayer, not a goner, right? So it's really tough. I have to think about all of these things. So I'd rather not know that you're looking for work, and I won't take it personally. So you have to be very careful. I want you to network carefully, telling those you trust that you are searching, and be very discreet so they can, understand that this is a confidential conversation. You have to use those words, discretion, confidentiality. There might be small groups of former colleagues, former bosses, mentors, friends, some recruiters you've been in touch with in the past that you can discuss this mobility in confidence. I think that is ideal for you. Then, this is also a big no-no for me, and I see this happening all the time, even this week. I want you to avoid using company resources like your work computer, your phone, or your email when you're doing job search. You should not use your email to book a consultation with me. Sorry, you should not use your work email to book a consultation with me. When you're doing a session with me or a job interview that's online via Zoom, you should use your personal laptop, not your work laptop. And by the way, have you been using your personal laptop lately? And is Zoom up to date? Is Teams up to date? Because when you log into Zoom and you haven't logged into Zoom for a long time, and there's 10 minutes until you're due to have an interview with a recruiter, for example, your Zoom will start updating and will ask you to restart your computer. This happens to my clients all the time. My consultations are not cheap. And you don't want to spend the first 10, 15 minutes figuring out why your microphone doesn't work and your camera doesn't work and your Zoom doesn't work, right? So make sure that you are set up for job searching using your resources, not your company's resources. And I think that this is really important. When people book consultations with me using their work email, I go back to them and I say, look, do you have a Gmail account? We can continue this conversation, because we will be exchanging emails. I'll be asking lots of questions, sending them follow-up information. And I don't want anybody else in their work to see it. And I get it. Some people have been working in the same place for a decade or more. So that's the email they use for everything. But if you're looking for work now, it's a good time for you to start transitioning off, those resources. Okay. Then there is the thing that Renata is known for. And I'm going to be way more diplomatic in how I approach this next tip here. So I don't want you to slack on your current job, right? But I want you to manage your energy to carve out time for job hunting. This advice has become my trademark as a coach, and I am unapologetic about it. Most times, professionals that work with me have given more than 100% of their energy, of their grit, and their, expertise, and, to work. When they are looking for a job, it's okay to pare it down, to give your current job 70% of your energy instead of 150% of the energy. Chances are you've been there for a while and you have some cards up your sleeve that you can use now to take time off, to, take some days off, and invest in yourself to also make sure that you're not working more than the necessary amount of hours, bringing forward projects that can be delayed a little bit. You need to carve out time to job search. It won't just happen magically. And it's not great when it's done at your personal time. And I say, people that are looking for work and doing all of that work on a Sunday afternoon and not getting the results that they expect, they're not being called for interviews and so forth. That's because you're doing it on a Sunday afternoon. Your energy at that time is super depleted. You need to be resting. You need to be in nature, reading a book, watching a great movie. You shouldn't be job searching at that time. So there is no miracle here. You need to save up some of that high quality time and energy for your job search and continue performing at your best in your current role, addressing all of the business as usual, high, priority, urgent things. Leaving on a good note can result in a positive reference, which you need. So take your time in annual leave, schedule shorter days so that you can perform well in the recruitment and selection without burning the bridges in your current job. I get that. But most of the time, what I find is that people just use the workload as a way of procrastinating the job search. I can't do it because I'm doing too much at work. Now is the time for you to collaborate, delegate, reset, goals, sort of put forward, to your bosses and managers that there are some things that need to be delayed a little bit. You just need that time. It won't happen magically. Okay, then you need to choose your references well, and you need to be honest with your potential employers if you're currently working and applying for jobs, right? This is a really important thing that people kind of overlook when they are applying for jobs and they're still employed, is how you choose your references and who you're going to be, who the employer or the recruiter can be contacting to validate information about you. It's a due diligence, it's necessary, but you need to be cautious about who you list as your references. If a potential employer contacts someone from your current company without your knowledge, that is problematic. It might jeopardize your current job. Now, I say this because it has happened to me, and it was not nice. Now, I am in a country where these things are actually illegal, but still people talk, right? And people sometimes forget. It's not, I don't think anybody did anything on purpose, but they just forget of the implications. They might be in a conversation, and they say, "Oh, somebody from your company just applied for a job in my company." Like, they would say something like that without thinking. And many employers, understand the need for discretion. So work with those and let them know that you appreciate it if they could respect your situation. It's really interesting that a lot of employers, when you're applying for jobs with them, they will make you sign an NDA, right? A non-disclosure agreement, so that you don't share with anybody else the information that they are sending you so that you can do a good application for the job and so forth. Almost no candidate does an NDA and sends it to a recruiter or a future employer and say, "Look, I don't want you." I have had 2 clients do NDAs, and I gave them this idea and they did it. So I think it's important for you to make sure that, you're working with serious people, you're working with serious recruiters, and that you're not going to be jeopardizing your current role by people not being discreet. This is really important. Now, this podcast goes to people all over the world. And depending on where you are, your job might be linked to your medical and dental insurance. And those are employment benefits for you. So you need to be extra careful with how you transition from one job to another. And I'll have to be honest, I overlooked that at the beginning of my coaching career. And now I'm very careful about it because I'm in a country where that is not an issue. In Australia, I have also clients in Canada and the UK. Canada, it has been an issue, to be honest, but in the UK, it has not been an issue. So that is something that is like part of my checklist, and then it becomes part of my client's checklist so that they do not have any problems with insurance as they move from one job to another. And the recruiter and the employer should be very aware of those things. I mean the future employer, and help you manage those situations if you find that you are not enough, don't have that sophisticated way of transitioning from one job to another, and that you shouldn't have. Like, some people have stayed in the same organization for a long time, have not had to think about this. So you need to really watch out for this situation of being without insurance between jobs. And it could be even like how it could affect how you transition and the date that you put forward as your last date in one job and your first date in the next job. All of those things need to be aligned with the insurance, and the benefits that you get from the two organizations, the one that you're leaving and the one that you're going to. This needs to be very well thought through. Okay. And you should also be prepared for the possibility of being discovered. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm okay. This is not me as a coach; it's me as a person, right? I wouldn't say that I have been blasé about it in the past. That I've been like, oh, okay, if I get discovered. But I have also had this philosophy that is strong in me that I now try to instill into my clients, that you should own your career. Your employer does not own your career. You carry your IP, your skills, your tools, your resources, your leadership with you. And if somebody decides to tap you on the shoulder for an opportunity, or if you see a job that you really want to apply for, there is no issue whatsoever with you putting your career first. I've seen enough in my lifetime to know that that is the best thing for professionals, right? So, having said that, there is always a risk that your employer will find out. And I want you to consider in advance how you might handle the situation. So have a pitch ready, have a narrative ready, a story ready. Be prepared for, why are you leaving? Question. Have a clear, professional, non-negative reason for why you're seeking a new position. I'm just remembering this story from a mentee of mine. This was before I started coaching, and he had been asking he worked for a global company, and he had been asking for, what are the succession planning for my role? What are the opportunities for me in the future? You know, and he had been asking during his meetings with his boss over the years, and nothing. Sometimes I also get from clients that they have been asking and they had been promised things and then nothing. And it's not because the boss is a bad boss, but sometimes they promise something and then something changes, above them, restructures and changes, and new boss, and all those promises fall through. So that when those things have happened, then it's an easier narrative to prepare. You can say, as you know, I've been very keen to advance my career. I have discussed this with you a few times. I feel like internally, there is no opportunity for me to move upwards in this organization in the foreseeable future. I completely understand that, but and that's the reason why I needed to look elsewhere. And I also want to expand my knowledge. I'm interested in experimenting with new cultures, with new sectors, and so forth. So, whether it's personal growth or new challenges or career change, you have to make sure that you're communicating it in a way that doesn't badmouth your current employer. This is really important. You don't want to aggravate situations or burn bridges. Remember that the best thing for you, the best outcome is for you to live on a good note and have good references in the organization that you're working in. I know that that's not also always possible. Book a consultation with me if we need to workshop this, in a more delicate, sensitive situation. But be cautious. Most people just want better jobs, and you should. Every 3, 4 years, ideally, you want to be out there looking for better salaries, more opportunities. If career advancement is the sort of life that you want to have for you, it's the career goal for you, then you should be looking out. And also, if career advancement, moving upwards mobility is not the incentive for you, is not your career purpose, it could be that you want something more creative, a better culture, an environment where, it gets to be new again. Sometimes people are very good at that sort of early stage of growth and development, and they just want more of that. Okay, so in summary, in answering the question, why are you leaving? I just found out you're looking for work. Whether it is for personal growth or it's a new challenge or it's a career change, make sure that you're communicating it in a way that doesn't badmouth your current employer, because ideally what you want to achieve is an exit from this organization where you do not burn bridges and you still have references there and colleagues to catch up with. Chances are, it's a small world. Chances are you're going to bump into each other in future jobs and work together in collaboration in the future. So you want to make sure that you leave on a positive note. But I think having that confidence that, it was an interesting role. I felt it was the right time for me to be looking for something where I can use these skills that I, have not used as much in this current role, or something like along the lines of, I can tell from, our previous meetings that there isn't, an opportunity for me to grow in the organization, which is fine. I completely understand. And that's why I had to look elsewhere. So you need to find the right pitch and the right tone to communicate it in a way that does not hurt your relationship with your boss and your colleagues. Now, if you're listening to this episode before the 27th of August 2024, please come to my free job hunting masterclass, which I'm doing on the 27th of August 2024. I do free job hunting masterclasses once or twice a year only. Everybody's invited to come. There are usually a few hundred people that attend. And it gives me an opportunity to give everybody a quick rundown on the job market analysis. And right now, the reason why I recorded this episode is kind of along the lines of the research that I'm doing for the free masterclass. There is a low supply of jobs, and there is, the amount of people that are looking for work are usually people that are between jobs. They are in what we call frictional unemployment. We don't have a lot of candidates applying for jobs that are currently employed. So even though it may seem like there's a lot of people competing for roles, sometimes that is not the case, depending on the sector, because some industries are experiencing low numbers of candidates. And that's because they usually get people that jump from one organization and to another, and that it's because of the types of roles and the types of opportunities. So we're going to address that, the slow growth, the few job openings, the sentiment that's keeping professionals from applying if they're currently employed, when in fact my belief is that they should be applying, and the economics uncertainties that are happening in 2024, and our forecast as to when these things are going to start turning around, and why it's important for us to be working on job searching and career development right now, rather than just saying, oh no, I'm just going to wait until the market gets better. That's not a good way of planning your career and planning your transition. I find that many professionals are really hesitant to search for new opportunities during these times of economic downturn. I was in the news a lot, like on TV a lot here in Australia during the lockdowns and the pandemic, when this was also happening. And I was like, this is criminal. Whoever is giving you this advice that you shouldn't be looking for work is wrong. You should be looking for work during these economic downturns, because that instability, there's more risk if you're not investing in your career, making those connections, networking. And I think it's really counterproductive to only look for work when there's high growth and lots of jobs advertised and so forth. The importance of continued job searching and how to remain competitive in that sort of market is what I want to address in these free masterclass that I'd like you to attend. It's on the 27th of August. I'll have two times available. I hope that means that wherever you are in the world, it's going to be a good time for you to attend. I do understand that you're in different time zones than me. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, so I'll have 2 time zones available to you. And I hope to see you there. You can ask me questions. I usually am very flexible, and I stay up until, as long as there are questions to answer, I will be there for you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and for being interested in this topic. And if you're new here and you're still listening, thank you so much. I'm Renata Bernardi, by the way. I'm your host. I dedicate my work to helping you navigate job market and have confidence and focus on your career success. So sometimes I host the podcast and I do solo episodes like this. Sometimes I interview guests, and I have already 3 guests booked for future episodes, and really interesting topics. So I really look forward to sharing those conversations with you. In the past, I was an executive as well, and then I decided I wanted to use all of the experience of looking for work and looking for candidates as well, and turned into a career coach so that I can offer you that advice, and I'm learning a lot from my clients as I coach them as well. If you are returning, thank you so much. Make sure that you send us some love by giving us a like, 5-star rating, write us a review, and of course, subscribe to the podcast wherever you found it. And I look forward to seeing you next week for the next episode. Bye. See you.